Hey, what's going on, folks? So, look, we got another chapter of Vigilantes to go over, so if you haven't read the most recent chapter of My Hero Academia Vigilantes, I suggest you read it and then come on back, because this video is going to be littered with spoilers. And don't worry, for the intro, we're going to make sure we try to stay mostly spoiler-free. So, like I said, make sure you read chapter 104 and then head on back. So, with that being said, there will be spoilers ahead for My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter 104. And maybe even along the line, I might possibly reference the new chapter of My Hero Academia, so make sure you're caught up on both titles or else, spoilers. But that's enough of that. If you're new to the bar, be sure to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to become one of the regulars and join in on the premiere, hit that notification bell. But other than that, let's head inside and grab ourselves a drink. Alright, welcome to the bar, everybody. So, the climactic fight between number 6 and Koichi. There's not much to go over, to be honest, because my thoughts from the previous video were true. See, I don't want to say at this point Vigilantes is falling into a stereotypical falling action, but really from here on out, it's just about how the main protagonist can overcome the main antagonist and bring about the end of the series. And while I was doing my second reread, I stumbled across the comments section. I wanted to see what people had to say about the series that I adore so much, and I was genuinely surprised that there were a lot of people that shared the same sentiment that I do, that Vigilantes does deserve its own anime. Though there was one comment that just tended to stick with me because there was a series of people that also agreed with this person. And pretty much the general consensus was a lot of people were upset that Koichi slumped into stereotypical shonen tropes. And it wasn't just one comment, it was multiple comments that were upset that, Vigilantes has gone against the grain for so long, why would it compromise who it is now for the stereotypical shonen trope? I'll discuss that moment a little bit later when we go over to the wall, but for now I have to say that the comment section was very on the contrary to most comment sections. It was actually a pretty pleasant place. So kudos to every single one of you Vigilantes out there supporting the cause. Now let's head over to the wall and talk a little bit more about chapter 104, shall we? Alright, so chapter 104 starts off with Koichi's inner thoughts from chapter 103 being actualized. You see, in chapter 103, we saw that he landed in front of number 6 to finally confront him. The flip side is, we really didn't see why he decided to pivot and deal with him on his own. In chapter 104, on the other hand, that gives us the insight into that decision. We see that his thought process immediately goes to thinking that he's only good for sneak attacks and that a straight up fight isn't really in his wheelhouse. And this doesn't really go over well because Koichi is super empathetic. He missed his chance to become a hero because he saved Popstep from falling in a river. If he leaves this moment right now and doesn't confront number 6, those anonymous villains are gonna kill Soga, kill the police, Popstep, and the boys outside. Not to mention residual damage to the hospital could jeopardize other unknown residents of that hospital. So for Koichi, there was really only one move: stop number 6 here and now. And what he didn't know was that it was a great move. Once he lands in front of number 6, the Anon stop moving because number 6, above all things, wants Koichi dead. So the fact that my man just showed up on a silver platter only coaxes the evil out of number 6 even more and makes him want that one-on-one fight. Because when they face off, or rather when number 6 puts his face on, we learn a little bit more about his false identity of Rokuro Nomura, like the fact that his identity and his facial structure is modeled after Koichi's, which kind of makes me think that number 6's goal is to do more than just kill Koichi. He wants to kill Koichi and find a way to take over his life. But either way, Koichi has never encountered a villain of this scale. I mean, to take Koichi's face, that's a full-on Nicolas Cage move right there, and once you go Cage, you never go back. Though that's when my favorite part of the chapter happens. Koichi gets on his hands and knees and pleads with the villain that he'll go away and disappear forever, just on the condition that he doesn't hurt Popstep. And his statement definitely holds some sincerity inside of it, but you've been reading this story since the beginning, so you know that this move is a callback to the very first special move that Koichi has, the kowtow evasion. Because with this move, the series finally goes full circle with what Koichi imagined that he can do against Soga actually coming to fruition against number 6. It's a cute callback to his first attempt at ever being a hero. They'll remember this statement. After the kowtow evasion, that's when Knuckle Duster arrives to save him. But right now, number 6 is in a predicament because overclock doesn't work if you're midair. Because what number 6 didn't know was that Sogen Koichi absolutely discussed his weaknesses, and his main weakness is his villainous monologues, everybody. I said it last week. This dude loves to break down his plan in depth that the person next to you would know what's going on. I mean, this dude has tons of similarities with All For One. The thing is, though, All For One actually succeeds when he gives his villainous monologue, because most of the fun when it comes to being All For One is having the heroes know your plan, and then as they try to stop you, you just laughing in their face and continuing to succeed. Like, this dude doesn't need to sneak around anymore. He'll just do what he needs to do and just watch heroes fail in front of him and relish in it. The thing is, number 6 isn't All For One, so he's making mistakes that he's not going to be able to recover from, which gives our boy Koichi the opening to possibly do something he might regret. Because while number 6's leg is swept, Koichi goes in for a Shooty-Go Blam that looks very different from his normal ones. This one resembles the Shooty-Go Blam kill shot from last year. And the thing that we've learned from this story is that Koichi really isn't an aggressive person. He is not somebody that will use his quirk actively to harm another person. Even in a fight against number 6, against a person that really isn't for the most part even considered human, he used less than lethal force. And to be quite honest, this is the only time we're gonna get like the anime/manga rage moment from Koichi, because he is not an aggressive person whatsoever. So when this happens next, you have to know that this was absolutely going to happen, because that is not the type of person that Koichi Himawari is. Whether that was a shot that would have knocked him out, or if it was a shot that would have completely decapitated him, doing what he did just now, that's not him. He may be a vigilante, but he's not a murderer. He's not a punisher. And the reflection scene from both characters as the shot goes off is priceless as well, because number 6 is sitting there like, oh my god, he almost blew my face off, and Koichi is like, this is not me. What am I doing? The thing is, though, that hesitation gives number 6 enough time to recover and try to follow up and kill Koichi. And I will say, they have waited almost 5 years before actually doing this cliffhanger for the, oh, is he dead? Tune in next week to find out. So I appreciate them using that cliffhanger being so close to the end of the series. But now I want to talk about the comment that I saw on the Viz app, because they said that since Koichi pulled his punch, he's falling into a more stereotypical ideology of all shonen. Now, what I would say is that Koichi is just a stereotypical shonen protagonist, but also at the same time, he just shares traits that most heroes in general share. You know, from Batman to Luffy, people have their no-kill rules. And like I said prior, a lot of the times, Koichi really hasn't been the person that resolves conflict within his own story. He's always been there to help augment the situation and carry it along. His biggest solo victory for the most part is fending off Endeavor and escaping his clutches. Other than that, he was responsible for keeping Captain Celebrity alive during the Sky Egg bombing. And amongst the commenters, people have been saying that there's been enough explosions in Naruhara to attract the ire of All Might. But if Koichi did go down from number 6's hit, there's really only one acceptable person to come to his rescue: Knuckle Duster. There was a scene that was planted months ago where someone broke into Koichi's apartment, meaning there's somebody that has yet to enter the fray, and I have a feeling that it's Knuckle Duster. I don't know why he's been invisible up to this point, but if there is one person to show up and give him the fight on speech, it's Knuckle Duster. So I think at this point, it's an inevitability Knuckle Duster will show up. He tends to show up right when Koichi's about to be killed, so if there was a moment for him to arrive, this would be it. So I would say that chapter 105 is going to start with number 6 missing both his arms and a leg, because that's 2 punches that he threw. So unless he put Koichi down, there's gonna be like 1 or 2 minutes in between his body growing back, which is definitely enough time for a pep talk. In anime, 2 minutes is like an entire episode of Dragon Ball Z in 1997, so who knows. Chapter 104 certainly had its ups and downs, and more ups than downs in my opinion. If I were to pick out one good thing and one bad thing for this chapter, I would say hooray for actually giving us more insight into Koichi's decision to act without All Might. We all want Koichi to be an independent hero, and above all, a vigilante that knows that they can handle a situation without a pro intervening. So if I were to give a con to this chapter, it would be, yeah, the ending is a bit obvious. This chapter is the Empire Strikes Back of endings. We're supposed to believe the hero's been defeated only for them to return, and the possibility of an ally returning to save them. Though remember people, This story is rooted in shonen, which means somehow the power of friendship and tutoring will come into play because this is My Hero Academia, and when people try to carry the entire burden by themselves, they tend to fall. So I would say for chapter 105, look out for Knuckle Duster making his reappearance. Number 6 is going to be horribly maimed and will need his anonymous soldiers to cover for him. And to go further with my assumptions, if Knuckle Duster doesn't show up and the pro heroes do instead, are they just going to be the ones to save Koichi? I don't know if I would like that. I guess I could imagine them taking on the small army of anonymous soldiers while Koichi and number 6 have a speedster race. I just hope that their fight is a little bit more climactic and doesn't end so abruptly. So all in all, I did enjoy this chapter because Koichi has come such a long way from being the guy wearing an All Might hoodie and a surgical mask going around picking up people's cell phones. And it just makes me hope that Vigilantes gets the ending that it deserves. So, if you think that this is the final arc to My Hero Academia Vigilantes, be sure to leave it in the comments down below. It's nerve-wracking to think that this might actually be the ending of Vigilantes, but let me know down below. Cheers.